Good evening, everyone. I'm Phil Suter, President and CEO of the Greater Keene and Peterborough Chamber, and welcome to the 2021 Gala. Yes, you heard that right. The two chambers are now one. More on that in just a minute. While we wait for a few more people to log on, and there are a whole bunch of you logged on already, please enjoy this brief video from the Why We Love It Here campaign we launched about a month ago. Along with one of several brief videos you're going to see throughout the evening on what it means to be a resilient community in some of our most resilient businesses.
So this region has something for everyone. It's on a little bit smaller scale than you might be used to in a big city, but I've lived in both. I've lived in rural areas, I've lived in urban areas, and honestly, I wouldn't trade living in southwestern New Hampshire for anywhere else in the country or the world.
The first thing you notice is you have room, right? So you've got room. You can breathe, right? You don't have to have your elbows out. You don't have to be competing for space in traffic or at the store or getting tickets to something. Like here, you can breathe. You have room to just kind of take a breath.
Here you have people from all backgrounds, all walks of life, sort of living on the same block, and I kind of like that. It's kind of cool.
So I left for about 10 years and then came back here. I originally came back here for my family's business, but then I kind of re-fell in love with the area, partly because of all of the outdoor beauty and things that you can do.
There are so many lakes here. We go boating, kayaking, canoeing. I haven't done ice fishing. I'm considering doing that, as well as climb mountains and do a lot of skiing here as well.
What I love about Keene and the broader local community is that when we see something that we want done, we work together to make it happen.
You know, when I met people, they really welcomed me kind of openly, and when I had an idea about something to do in town, people were like, yeah, let's do that.
So this is the type of area that 5 people can have a good idea and you get together and you can actually see it happen.
The food co-op is definitely one of those great examples. There was no food co-op and that disappointed me, but there were enough other people who felt the same way so that we all started working on this one effort, which is what's behind me right now because of all the hard work.
Because we're in a rural environment, we had 16 acres of property, so we were able to put a full ground mount and roof mount and power 120% of our manufacturing needs, which means we can actually put back energy into the grid. And I think that's something that you couldn't do in a city environment or urban environment, so we're very lucky to be out here because of that reason as well.
We have a lot of small businesses. At the same time, we have some large businesses. So there's this good mix. We've got a lot of entrepreneurs. We have a lot of artists. So the diversity of the economy is really a strength here.
We ended up in New Hampshire because we really recognized that this was a place that matched our company values, you know, and this was a place where we could hire employees that also were kind of like family members, and we could build a culture here where we could make great products but also cultivate great people.
I think there are over 23 colleges and universities here in New Hampshire, so that's probably one of the highest per capita. We go from Ivy League universities to very small sort of rural universities, and that's where I work at here at the Franklin Pierce University, where I think the ratio from student to professor is about 12:1. And what that simply means is that here we get to actually spend time getting to know our students, their needs, and what will support them the most during their academic career.
I think that people should move here if they want a beautiful place with lots of outdoor activity and the possibility to create whatever you want to create.
I live, work, and recreate all in a 1-mile radius. I don't have to deal with a minute of traffic throughout my whole day, and really I couldn't be happier with it.
I love it here in New Hampshire because this place is a inclusive, a welcoming, tax-free place where raising a family is actually much easier here.
Facing a century pandemic as a college president, as a college community, I think part of our challenge was to imagine how to have a residential teaching and learning space, knowing that we'd be bringing students inside for class instruction, knowing that we had sensitive subpopulations both on our campus and in the community, and then our commitment as a public institution to ensure we protect the public health and well-being. So we planned very, very hard. We changed our physical plant so that we preserve 6-foot spacing in all of our classrooms, updated ventilation. It was a cast of hundreds who actually prepared not only on our campus but as a system. And as we entered into the process, we realized testing would be a big part of our ability to early on identify cases, move rapidly into isolating so that we didn't have any transmission of a virus in an exposed individual to others. I'm really proud to say that the team worked really well. We had no secondary transmission. We had the lowest incidence in the university system, and we tested every member of our community every week. That was an essential part of a really aggressive commitment to being a good citizen in the city and allowing our students to return to what is a residential learning environment. I think we also made appropriate investments, really important investments into technology. So we have enhanced classroom capacities now so that we can broaden our reach. It's not just students who can join us on campus. So if there's a silver lining to all of this, it's that we've rethought teaching and learning at the collegiate level. We've rethought our partnerships, and those learning moments will actually hold us in good stead going forward. We don't know what 2021 will bring, but what I'm convinced of and very proud of is the resiliency of this community. I think our students did a remarkable job. Our faculty and staff did a remarkable job. I'm so proud of the college, and we couldn't have done what we did do this past fall without the partnership with the city, the hospital, and all of our business community partners and nonprofits. So thank you to the Chamber, thank you to all of our partners, and we'll be back at it this spring.
We're back live, broadcasting from the Colonial Theater's new performing arts venue in downtown Keene, the Showroom. We thank Alec and the Colonial team for inviting us into this space, and we all look forward to the day public health considerations dictate that it will be safe to operate. It's going to be great. We can't wait to see this space in action. I mentioned at the top that our two chambers, the Greater Keene Chamber and the Greater Peterborough Chamber, are now merged. They're now one chamber. And this is going to be a challenge for us, but it's a great opportunity for the region. And I wanted you to just get a sneak peek at the graphic you see on the screen now. That is one you're going to be seeing more and more of in the months ahead as we integrate the operations of the two chambers and work to deliver more value for more members. Speaking of public health, as I was a minute ago, it's been a hell of a year, and I don't need to tell anybody who's watching that. When we gathered in person a year ago at Keene State College, COVID-19 wasn't even on the radar. And here we are a year later with our lives changed, in some ways, probably forever. Our hearts go out to all who've been affected by the virus, and our gratitude goes out to all who have been protecting us on the front lines against it. As a chamber, we've tried to be a resource for our members and anyone else who's asked for help, and we're going to continue to do so. We're going to rise up, as this region always does when it's hit with adversity. That's who we are. And if I was going to give a President's Award this year, I'd give it to the Monadnock region, every single one of you. In putting together this evening's event, we're doing everything we can to follow local, state, and federal public health guidelines. We're all wearing masks, except when we're here at the podium speaking. There are only about a dozen of us here in person, all physically distanced, and only 3 of us will be speaking live during the evening, including Justin McKinney, who will be entertaining us a little later in the show. We know he's actually in town because he showed up a little while ago for a sound check. Other parts of the show have been pre-recorded, and in keeping with our tradition, we think we've done a pretty good job in keeping the secrets that you expect us to keep when it comes to the Business of the Year and Citizen of the Year. You'll know about those shortly. Whether live or in person or live stream, this kind of event cannot happen without the contributions of time and treasure from many, many people. First, I'd like to thank Cadogan Films for producing this event, making sure that the technical aspects of this kind of live-streamed event happen as they should. If you're seeing us now, they're happening as they should. Thank you, Anthony, to you and your team. Second, I'd like to thank all the committee of board members and other volunteers, as well as the best staff anyone can ask for, who've worked on this for months. It was quite an effort to present a gala in a completely different way than we've been doing it for many years. We hope you'll recognize some of how it looks and understand that we're not being able to do everything we might do in person. Third, I'd like to thank all of you for attending. As you know, part of your ticket price includes $25 gift certificate to one of several local restaurants, and we'll be in touch with you about getting that to you. It's just a small way we're trying to support our amazing restaurant community during what have been extremely tough times for them. Finally, I'd like to thank our sponsors. You'll see them pop up on your screen a few times during the evening. They've been amazing in these uncharted waters. We know they're watching, so thank you. And I want to make special mention of our gold sponsor, Mascoma Bank, and show you a little bit about who they are, followed by another resilience video, and they're both very short, so we'll be right back.
Sophia's Hearth Family Center has been around for 20 years. It started as a program that responded to the needs of parents of very young children who were isolated, did not have the connections to make with each other and to feel like there was a safe place for them. And for many years, about 10 years, that was our primary work. But in 2010, we were able to open the beautiful building on Court Street, which I think many people who drive by there all the time have been able to see, and finally add a child care program, and we serve about 32 children in our child care program. Well, as everyone knows, March, whatever date it was, we immediately had to respond to all the questions about should we stay open, should we not stay open, and if we do stay open, how should we do that? And we thought, well, okay, we're going to stay open because parents need us. And so we stayed open for the first week, and a lot of children came. And then midway through, we realized that we were down to about 18 children, and then the following week we were down to 6 children because parents were so nervous, and so we decided to close. So we closed for the month of April, and we were able to reopen at the beginning of May, for various reasons, and when we started up again, we once again had, I think the first week we had 3 children. And then by the end of June, we were back up to, not full census, of course, not all children were back, but a reasonable amount were back. And what happened to make that possible for us is we were able to apply for and get one of the PPP loans. We learned about it through you folks, the Chamber of Commerce. We worked with our partners at Mascoma Bank, who were wonderful in helping us get through the process, and we were able to get a loan. I don't know that we would have been able to bring our employees back, given how few children we had, but we wanted to serve the children of essential employees. So that made it possible, so we were really grateful for that.
Thank you again, Mascoma, and thanks again to all our sponsors. So let's get on with the show. Dr. Joanne Conroy, CEO of Dartmouth-Hitchcock Health, first agreed to be our keynote speaker at this year's gala well over a year ago. Little did she know at the time what her year of 2020 would look like. While DHK's health protocols have kept her from being here with us in person, we are pleased she was able to pre-record some thoughts for us a few days ago. I know she's also watching tonight, so thank you, Dr. Conroy. And to you and to all those who work on healthcare's front lines for everything you're doing to keep us safe. Resilience is an ongoing theme for the entire Dartmouth-Hitchcock system, and no more so than in the past year. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Joanne Conroy.
Thank you so much for asking me to address the Greater Keene and Peterborough Chamber of Commerce. I think my remarks today are going to be focused on the remarkable activities in 2020. It certainly was a year that could only be described as a test of our resilience. Resilience not only for healthcare systems, but certainly for many of the industries that all of you represent. I'm going to talk about some of our experiences and some of the interesting literature that talks about organizational resilience. But everything I'm going to address really is very easily applicable to all of your organizations. So let's start from the beginning. How do we define organizational resilience? Well, it's the ability of an organization to anticipate, prepare for, respond, and adapt to a whole level of disruptive changes and threats to the organization. It involves assessing and supporting your leadership, your people, your processes, and your products. This last year, dealing with a pandemic has taught us a tremendous amount about our organization's ability to prepare for and respond to similar threats. I like to remind people that the pandemic is an example of what broad disruption looks like. And in fact, we have been working on telehealth and remote work for a long time, but it took a single strand of RNA to actually accomplish more than 10 years of investment of technology and innovators to change how we deliver care. The consequences of this will be that some of this will be enduring, and other of it will just have been in reaction to the pandemic. One thing that we did note, though, was that in a pandemic like this, the resistance to change almost disappears. You know what? This is incident command like no other. Usually our incident commands are, stood up for 48 hours. This incident command was standing up for 12 to 16 weeks. Now, some characteristics of it. They gave us greater clarity about the extent of viral spread and the characteristics of the disease. We had our epidemiologists and our infectious disease people were on the incident command team, and they were informing us every single day about what we knew. We did an assessment of our PPE, our personal protective equipment, and it revealed some weaknesses in our supply chain. And that was a big reason for stopping delivery of some of our services. We developed a 7-stage surge plan that could lead to a doubling of our ICU capacity if that was required. We stood up our COVID testing in less than a month. I want to remind you that nobody was doing COVID tests except the CDC. Our incident command wrote checks, $5 to $6 million worth of checks. They were empowered to do that, to stand up testing capabilities, which we knew would be critical to actually understanding the extent and controlling the spread of the pandemic. We also were monitoring some increasing pressure externally. Many national organizations actually, through their membership, encouraged health systems to actually ramp back on elective work, outpatient visits, in order to really assess where we were in terms of PPE and understand the disease better. We went to visit Incident Command, which is not normal. Dan Jansen, our CFO, and I went to visit them on Sunday, March 15th, when I understood through a series of emails that we were going to shut down everything. We were going to shut down all of our outpatient visits. We were going to shut down everything in the South except urgent care. We were going to dramatically realign our resources. This is where you're getting into the transformative part of your resilience. And I actually took this excerpt out of an email that Dan shared with me. We talked to our finance committee chair, and he understands the situation and is totally supportive. We had to try to make some assessments. We thought we were going to lose maybe $4 million a week. I'm going to tell you it was 3 or 4 times that in the end analysis. But our finance committee chair really exhibited great leadership. And he said that he understood and he agreed that we have no choice and we had to do what was right for patients and our community. And he said, this is what we are here for. Now, when we look at resilience, there are many different characteristics, but there are really 4 characteristics that are really important. Financial aspects of resilience, leadership, vision and purpose, and reputational risk. And I'm going to talk about each of those with a few specific stories about our response to COVID-19. First, let's really acknowledge the long-term impact. You know what? Our economy is changing. We started tracking this early on in the pandemic, but we are moving from face-to-face orientation to a very heavy tech sector growth. And in fact, when you look at who participates or who contributes to the S&P 500 market cap, you can see a decided shift. As we navigate the pandemic and the post-pandemic world, we have to really adapt to the fact that some of these things will continue into the future. And our future may not look exactly like our past. Face-to-face orientation on many things that we do may be altered forever. You know, we believe the impact of telehealth and the impact of a digital front door for healthcare is going to be an enduring aspect of how we need to prepare ourselves for the future. In terms of financial resilience, we learned we had to assess and stabilize the cash position. We had to anticipate the worst case scenario. And we really underpromised and over-delivered when we talked to our boards, and I'm sure many of you did the same. You have to think forward into recovery. We have had a great recovery because a month after we stood up Incident Command, we stood up what's called a Recovery Command, a totally separate team that was focused on recovery. We knew our Incident Command team had to be focused on the pandemic, but we also knew that we had to lay the groundwork for us to have a quick recovery. And consider a 2 to 3 year timeline. Again, this is a 2 to 3 year return to financial stability for our organization. We continue to exceed those expectations, but again, we wanted to have a really measured approach to how quickly we could recover and what the impact would be for the many other commitments that we've had. I think resilience is purpose and vision. The head of our finance committee said it appropriately. This is what we're here for. The second thing is thanking our workforce for their dedication every single day. I can't thank them enough. And we continue to consider how can we thank them in different ways, because many of them have a certain amount of pandemic fatigue that they're dealing with. There are new opportunities to change how we work. We're going to have at least 2,000 people who will continue to work remotely. We will continue to invest in telehealth, and we're going to continue the process of expanded and innovative testing. This will not be our last pandemic. Leadership, you have to lead with authenticity. You have to communicate effectively across the state and the region. And we initiated a campaign about wearing masks months before many other leaders stepped forward and said, this is the way to actually stop the spread of the pandemic and return to some level of normalcy. We do have to consider the impact of our decisions on the broader community. When we stood up testing, we made an effort to make sure that the smaller hospitals could actually send their tests to us to give them an overnight turnaround time, which better prepared them to care for their community. We also provided backup for the state lab because understandably they were overwhelmed at the initial surge and subsequent increases in outbreaks across the state. And we have to do the things that no one else can do. We are the high acuity critical care facility here for the state, and we are accepting people from across the state who need things like long-term ventilation or ECMO, which is using the heart-lung machine to oxygenate their blood because they're in full respiratory failure. Those are the things that we only can do, and we are prepared to do that for the entire state. And also there's reputational resilience. Our people are our most important asset. We did not lay anybody off. We didn't furlough people. We told them every day that we needed them for our recovery. And we realized that people will remember how we made them feel. And our employees felt like they were cared for, like we were looking out for their interests and looking out for the interests of the community. In this way, we were leading not just in our organization, but for the region, and collaborate constantly. And as we are in the second surge, that becomes even more important. I'm going to let all of you know that hope is on the horizon. We have vaccinated more than 5,000 people here as of January 7th through the Dartmouth-Hitchcock Health System. We're starting to vaccinate many of our providers in the southern part of the state. As more vaccine actually comes to the facilities, we will partner in whatever way the state determines they want to roll out the vaccination program with our providers, with our other partners in the community, in order to get as many people vaccinated as possible. If we can vaccinate up to 85% of our population, then we have a chance of going back to a more normal way of being. Now, it's never going to be the same. I think we've been changed by the pandemic. We've been changed as organizations, and we've been changed as communities. I think, however, that we are a much more strong, resilient organization than we were a year ago. I think we've got a global and certainly a national recognition of the positive impact that working together we have had in the state. And I hope when I talk to you in the future, we will have much more information about what we've learned from the pandemic and how we can be much stronger as communities working together. Again, thank you so much for your time and enjoy your celebratory event.
When COVID-19 first came on everyone's radar, I think everyone was really apprehensive. No one knew what to expect. And then the shutdowns started happening in an effort to slow the spread. And I think for all small business owners, myself included, our challenge was being able to provide for our families. I started doing the front porch photos for people who were essential workers. And I found very quickly that I would interview one person and take their photographs, and they would say, well, hey, I don't feel right without my coworkers or my boss, or I have a friend who does this. And very quickly became, hey, I should take pictures of organizations too, and as well as people. And that's basically how it just kind of blossomed into to Unsung Heroes. All the photos are going into a black and white documentary coffee table book, and then the proceeds from that book are going to be given back to the community for small business relief. I think the silver lining to the COVID-19 crisis is that our community kind of came together, and we were able to highlight people who don't usually get recognition. There's so many people who go out and do their jobs every day and they're taken for granted. You've got people who restock the grocery shelves, and the truck drivers, your delivery drivers, your gas station workers, everyone's taken for granted. And when COVID happened, it showed just how essential and just how important all these people are. So, your average Joe is the person who stepped up into the limelight to become the hero of the situation. And I think that is a huge silver lining to bring about more respect to everyone that works so hard. Resilience to me means being strong and flexible. I think being flexible as a business owner is important for everyone. You never know what you're going to have thrown at you. Most of us couldn't work, so we just had to find other ways to keep ourselves occupied. I think keeping your mind occupied is very important, and focusing on your health, and that's the resilience part for me, was just making sure that I was continuing to take care of myself and to take care of my family and to focus on the good versus the bad.
Thank you very much, Dr. Conroy, and thank you, Lisa. It's looking forward to seeing that book, and it was a great idea to focus on unsung heroes. We now turn to, just to let you know what's ahead over the next few minutes, we're going to do the Business of the Year and Citizen of the Year awards, and then Justin McKinney is going to join us and do a little more lightheaded entertainment. We're going to turn now to the Business of the Year award. An award this chamber has presented to an extraordinary organization in the Monadnock region every year since 2002. And as you look at the list there, it's a heck of a list. To present this year's award, here's Ted Benson, representing Bensonwood and Unity Homes, and last year's winner.
Because Bensonwood and Unity Homes were last year's recipient of the Business of the Year award, I have the honor of presenting the Windsor Brooks Business of the Year Award to an organization that has had an incredibly important impact on our community for nearly 4 decades. The tremendous value of their tireless work has been highlighted by the economic depression inflicted across our land and definitely in our community in the wake of the pandemic. Any business that has persevered in 2020 deserves recognition, but it is fitting that the one whose mission it is to help those in need is a standout to receive the Business of the Year award in these trying times. Every one of you tuning in to this event cares about our community, and that is our collective strength. We are all individually and collectively reliant on each other, whether we like it or not, whether we admit it or not. But when we embrace and celebrate that reliance, by giving back to our community and caring for those in need, that's when we transcend and lift ourselves. And that's how communities go from surviving to thriving, with nobody left behind. We've all had to work through difficult, uncomfortable inconveniences, and our ability to do this is the critical element for how our community will succeed with the least possible individual and collective negative impacts. For all of us, an organization that reaches out and supports others to help people in their basic needs is our collective conscience, our better angels at work, and each of us rising to our higher selves by embracing their work and supporting their invaluable mission. There's a saying in business that I think is usually correct. It says, culture eats strategy for lunch, which I interpret to mean that strong company cultures can overcome flawed strategies, while poor company cultures tend to undermine even the best of strategic plans. Right now, we're all doing our best to wind ourselves collectively and individually through an unprecedented crisis that demands daily adaptations to an ever-changing landscape. In the case of this year's Windsor Brooks Business of the Year Award recipient, the landscape erupted with exponentially increased impoverishment nearly overnight, and they have adapted more than once. Their culture has surely been tested, and its strength and tenacity has been proven once again to be one of the most valuable organizations of our community. The Windsor Brook Award recognizes a strong community involvement, with service being the core of the mission, a successful and healthy business, a business that provides goods and services and/or strong employment opportunities that enhance the quality of life for the community residents. And finally, a business that is a leader in their industry. Our recipient this year achieves all of these and more. Starting with their mission, service is at the core. To provide healthy and nutritious hot meals, take-home food boxes, advocacy and education to low and moderate income men, women, and families with children in the Monadnock region. With a vision for success that results in their name, that all people in the Monadnock region are able to provide healthy, nutritious food for themselves and for their families. So by now, you must know I'm talking about the community kitchen. But I'm not done. Their success and health this past year has meant that they needed to continue providing food to those in need who needed it most. And the kitchen increased their hot meal program by more than 25% under these circumstances, despite government mandates to eliminate and then limit outdoor or indoor dining. By transforming their model to a takeout program, they were able to continue providing food to those in need and keep their staff and their customers safe. They also started a partner program with local agencies to deliver food. This helped limit the need for people leaving their homes and reduce the number of people congregating for pickup. The new program created more work for those involved, and it greatly reduced the exposure risk for more vulnerable people. Their pantry program adjusted itself too, accommodating clients through a registration and takeout window. Meanwhile, through the change, the kitchen is still planning a future to benefit everyone. They are also in the midst of a campaign to install 150 solar panels on their roof, which will reduce their reliance on fossil fuels and likely reduce their energy bill by more than a third. In conclusion, our community is stronger because of the community kitchen, and I am humbled and honored to present them with this year's Windsor Brooks Business of the Year Award. Stay tuned for a live visit to the kitchen, where we'll try for the traditional element of surprise that typically accompanies these presentations and surely did for our company last year.
Hi. Hi. I'm Sarah from Bensonwood. This is Ted Benson from Bensonwood. Nice to meet you.
How are you?
We're here on official business today.
This is official business. So 1 year ago, our company, Bensonwood and Unity Homes, had the honor of being awarded the Windsor Brooks Business of the Year.
At the Chamber.
At the Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
And that gives me an even bigger honor because this year I get to give the award to this year's winner. And this year's winner is the Community Kitchen.
Oh my goodness. Oh, holy moly. That's amazing.
And I just can't tell you, you know, what a privilege it is to be able to hand over the honor to the just wonderful work you are doing for our community.
Oh, this is amazing. Oh, getting a little emotional here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and especially in this pandemic time.
It has been a challenge.
It's been so challenging for everyone. The fact that you've been able to continue to provide meals for those people in need has just warmed all of our hearts and made us, all of us, more of a community. And we just so appreciate your mission and your good work.
I'm so proud of what we've done. We have not missed a single pantry distribution. We have not missed a single meal. In fact, we added meals to, we normally aggregate some holidays to another organization who couldn't pick them up. So I am just so proud. This is some of our staff.
Hi. The rest are hiding.
There's Peggy, who is going to be hung later. But this is just amazing. Thank you so much.
So congratulations to all of you.
This is everybody.
Yeah,
this is everybody. I do the least. I honestly do the least. It's true.
We don't believe that.
No, it's true. It's true. Thank you so much.
It's well deserved. Well deserved this year.
Thank you.
On behalf of the whole community, we're just so privileged that you're a part of it and that you're taking care of so many people in need.
Thank you. I am not often speechless. So you have taken me completely off guard. Excellent.
Yay.
Thank you.
I think, you know, when it was first coming, like, I think everybody kind of didn't really think it was maybe real. There was some fear, some confusion, because nobody knew what to do. There were no answers from anyone. One big part of our business is athletics. That came to a complete halt. We lost a huge amount of our business right in it's what our biggest time of the year is, in the spring. So many people have heard of the Great Tea Project. It actually came from an idea that my sister, who works for me, saw. It was a business in Lowell, Mass, screen printing business. They decided they would come up with a thing where they would print shirts. They already had the logos, they already had the art, they already had everything they needed. They would just print these shirts for these companies, for their clients, put them up for sale, and then they would give the business the profit. So it was a way for those businesses to make a little money, and it was also a way to keep their business, you know, they were doing something. That company raised $10,000 in 2 weeks. So we're like, well, if we can raise $10,000, then that would be great. You know, anything helps. So I reached out immediately to a bunch of my friends. The concept was we would create the shirts. We would do everything. $19 will, you know, $9 will cover our costs, keep our employees working. The $10 will go back to you to help with your employees and get you through this period. We had no idea how long it was going to last. So of 20 or so friends of mine that I reached out to, every single one of them wanted to do it. I got it set up. They started telling people about it, and the next day we had over 100 local businesses. Got it all set up in one day, had it ready to go, and launched it. Famously, we ended up over a course of a few months raising over $100,000. Of course, the story went national and actually got picked up by the company that hosts our stores. So they did a feature on me and sent it out to the country, and the model ended up raising over $2 million around the country. But nobody did anywhere near what we did in little old Keene, New Hampshire, which is crazy. You know, people were trying it in other parts of the state. People were trying it in, you know, California and Florida, and it was a very hectic 3 months. Resilience, I mean, it's just not giving up. Like, that's really it. I don't think we had a choice. You know, it's just being determined not to lose everything that you've worked so hard for. I have a lot of employees with families, and our biggest concern was being able to keep our employees employed. We didn't really think about any other options. It was immediately into an action plan to stay in business and to keep things going. And we were fortunate enough to do that and do it successfully in a way that's definitely carried us through the pandemic so far.
Congratulations to Phoebe and the entire Community Kitchen team. Thanks for everything that you all do for this community. It's amazing stuff. And a shout out too to Joe Tolman, who you just saw on the screen in Bulldog Design, and what he put together and how quickly he put it together, and the money he raised for small businesses around this community is an amazing story. So I want to turn now to the Citizen of the Year Award, and that's been around for even longer than the Business of the Year Award. You can see a list of some of the previous winners on your screen now, and it's a pretty impressive list. So to present this year's winner, I turn it over to last year's winner, Michael Chelstowski. Take it away, Mike.
The Citizen of the Year Award recognizes and celebrates an individual in our region for outstanding and unselfish giving of time and talent to produce lasting benefit to our community. The awardee must live in the greater Keene area and should ideally have 10 or more years of community service with an emphasis on leadership. The award has been given annually since 1960. It was a true honor to receive the award last year. Upon realizing it was me that Susan Newcomer was speaking of, I was struck by a fear of what I was going to say when I got up onto that stage, and to this day I'm still not sure what that was. Now I have a different fear. How will I pay appropriate tribute to this year's winner, as hers is an amazing story with over 40-plus years of community service and leadership with lasting impact and benefit. As one friend put it, the list of her accomplishments is seemingly endless. I would not want to be the one person putting the list of her gifts to this world into writing. And I must now try to do so in a reasonable time frame. Lucky me. But before I talk about her accomplishments and contributions, I want to tell you a little bit about her, the person, as relayed to me by those who know her well. Her husband states that since she was a young woman, she has been focused on and committed to community service. Friends provided lots of tributes. One friend told me that our winner is the most giving person she knows. She is compassionate and always sees the good in others. She is a leader, collaborator, activist, listener. There is always some new project that she is working on that will make this community a better place for all of us. She gives of herself because she has an exceptionally huge heart, and she cares very deeply about her family, her friends, and the region. She does not give for recognition, but by an inner need to reach out and help her fellow human beings. Every comment I received about her contains superlatives. Here are some more. She brings curiosity, competence, caring, persistence, and the willingness to work hard to everything she does. The core and heart of our awardee is her willingness to help all people, regardless of their financial status, education, race or ethnic background, sexual orientation, or beliefs. She has always been exceptional in understanding that self-esteem and self-determination are essential to a better life and a better future. She does so much, so capably and generously, and again, with very little thought for recognition. Regarding her skills as a leader, a colleague said this: when she has an idea and asks you to help, the answer is an immediate yes, because you know it will be thoughtful, well-organized, fun, meaningful, and personally educational. Her leadership style is clear and inclusive, with a lot of warmth and forward momentum. I guess I would follow her anywhere. Our awardee grew up in Maryland. After college, she worked as a high school science teacher. She also volunteered in various ways, including tutoring and working as a health educator. It is our good fortune that she moved to Keene in 1976 as her husband had taken a position here. She quickly became involved in volunteer activities, including serving on the board of the Keene Daycare Center as well as the boards of the Monadnock Area Pastoral Counseling Service, the Hospice of Cheshire County, and the Harris Center. She was instrumental in establishing the Community Health Education Program at Cheshire Medical Center, Dartmouth-Hitchcock, Keene. During this time, she championed programs which resulted in significant growth in community education with sensitivity to the needs of patients, their families, and the general health concerns of our community. Some of the early programs included healthy activities and meals for seniors, the tobacco-free youth program, and programs that enhanced healthcare outreach to schools. She helped initiate a medication assistance program which delivered millions of dollars worth of prescription medication to qualified recipients at no cost to them. Her leadership and diligent dedication to educating our community about their health made a significant behind-the-scenes difference in many individual lives, as well as the overall health of our region, and provided a foundation for future community health initiatives. A major initiative that our awardee spearheaded was dental health. Recognizing the need for improved access to dental services, she helped initiate a program called Cheshire Smiles, which provided dental care outreach to the region's elementary schools. One of the hygienists involved in the program said our awardee volunteered relentlessly to ensure children received needed service. This program identified the extent of unmet need for children's dental services and also the lack of capacity to provide those services. So our awardee worked to recruit a pediatric dentist to the community, and she then worked with individual families to obtain Medicaid eligibility in order to support the practice. She also co-chaired a dental public health task force to create a sustainable public health dental practice. Grants, as well as subsidies from various local agencies, helped to get the program started. That nonprofit organization, Dental Health Works, has now been in place for more than 20 years and has provided over $4 million in unreimbursed dental care services to thousands of people in our area. It is a self-sustaining practice and continues to be a model for nonprofit dental care. A dentist involved in these initiatives offered the following. It is difficult to express the magnitude of what our awardee, often single-handedly, accomplished for the region by bringing Cheshire Smiles and Dental Health Works to full development along with other initiatives. This is truly an example of leadership and service with lasting impact. Here's a more recent example. She had a germ of an idea in late 2015. After hearing of the concept from a friend, she organized a steering committee to create a new local organization modeled after a national group called 100+ Women Who Care. Members gather 4 times a year to hear presentations from local nonprofits nominated by the members. These members then vote, and each agrees to write a check to the chosen charity. In its first year, it had 80 or so members. It has since grown to around 300 members. So far, the program has generated $250,000 in financial support to local agencies and initiatives, including COVID relief, cancer support services, childhood hunger, dental programs, homeless and housing support, transportation, and Meals on Wheels. More than 20 local programs have received financial support. In addition to starting the organization, our awardee has remained its leader. One member said that our awardee's steady direction and gentle guidance of 100+ Women Who Care is a key to its success. Her leadership style is purposeful, but always includes an element of fun. Thus, with her leadership, a germinative idea becomes a sustained funding source for our area, harnesses the generosity of hundreds, and also serves to make those members more aware of the needs and services in our area. Our awardee is also a member of the Keene Immigrant and Refugee Partnership and Project Home, which supports immigrant families living in our area. During the past 4 years, she has played an indispensable role in supporting immigrants in our community. She has lent her skills, connections, and compassion in many ways, including organizing free medical and dental clinics, coordinating rental assistance, and advocating for fair policies and practices. And here is a brief but powerful example that well illustrates the character and caring of our awardee. She is a breast cancer survivor who, during her own treatment, established an education and support group called Hats Off for women dealing with breast cancer. During a perilous time in her own life, she reached out to help and care for others. Here are some other examples of her volunteer efforts. In the interest of time, it is a partial list, and I apologize for any glaring omissions. She volunteered as a math and reading tutor for several years through the America Reads program. She is a member and past president of the Ladies Charitable Society of Keene. She volunteered for Habitat for Humanity, participating in builds in Nepal, Guatemala, and Portugal. She was active in the Rhodes Scholar program, assisting with educational trips to several European countries. She lived in Slovakia for 6 months, and during that time helped to organize an international conference on housing, which was held in Switzerland. She was named the 2003 President's Outstanding Woman of New Hampshire by Keene State College. And if these accomplishments don't already make you feel like you should be doing more with your own life, here is a partial list of her personal pursuits and interests. She earned a master's degree in organization and management from Antioch. She has hiked all 67 of the 4,000-plus foot peaks in northern New England. She has walked the 200-mile Camino de Santiago Trail in Spain. She was a member of the Anima Terra Women's Chorus. She has traveled extensively with trips to more than 24 countries. She is an expert on birds and plants. A friend said this: "Be careful not to confuse a white-throated sparrow with a chipping sparrow, and woe be to he who confuses sumac with Rus tiffinia." She's a prolific gardener of both flowers and vegetables and takes pride in generously sharing her crops with her friends. She and her husband have raised 2 sons, and those of you who know her husband will know that she chose wisely, as did he. I will close with this tribute from a close friend of hers. If you are her friend, it is a lifelong commitment on her part. If you are ill or in need of support, she is there, often before you even make the call for help. Once that call is made, however, she is at your side at lightning speed. She draws on her own experiences to address concerns and organizes any assistance you may have overlooked. If you are fortunate enough to be her friend, however, it is a private journey that is never made public. To be the recipient of her friendship is to be forever thankful that she is part of your life. We, the greater Keene area, are fortunate and grateful that she, in many ways, treats our community as she does her friends. For who she is, what she has contributed, and how she has done so, we are honored to present the 2020 Citizen of the Year Award to Jane Shapiro.
Come on, wherever you are. Come here.
What is this?
Take your coat. Let's go.
Oh my God! What in the world?
In case you're wondering while we're all here,
Oh my God!
there it is. You are the 2020 Keene Greater Chamber of Commerce Citizen of the Year.
Oh,
Hey!
No, we don't do that.
We have a lovely plaque for you.
We'll do this. Oh my golly.
Congratulations,
And Jane is, in case you don't know, this is an award that's been given out every year since 1960 to people who have made significant contributions in community service. And in your case, it's more than 40 years of that. I mean, your work has been amazing, from all the boards you've served on, the community health education programs, the dental programs that have been around for 20 years or more and helped thousands of people. And most recently, the 100-plus Women Who Care, that's funded $250,000 to people, to 20 different agencies. So for all that and more, and there is a lot more, we are pleased and thrilled to make this presentation to you.
Oh, well.
And I have to say, of all the things you listed, Mike, I never did any of them by myself. So, I mean, it's always been a coalition of people, always.
But there has to be the idea person.
And the leader. That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Wow. Thank
It's
you
a lot
all.
better because of you, Jane.
Well, thank you, Ken. Thank you.
It's
really
so
an
well
honor.
deserved.
Yes, indeed.
It's a real
Long
honor.
overdue, as they say.
Thanks for all you do.
Jane, the final act is to clip this to you somehow. Look away. That's right. There it goes.
I'm not breathing. Oh, God.
So when we first heard about COVID-19 and the impacts it was having in our community, especially being an essential business, we never closed. So that was a beautiful thing, but it was a challenging thing because you never had that time to kind of reflect and make a plan. It was like you had to make a plan right then and there, even if you didn't have all the information you needed. You had to take care of your customers, take care of your staff. So that put a lot of stress on leadership, but also a lot of stress on every single staff member because they were thinking about their own health, the health of their family. But really how we responded was just stepping up what we normally do. It was, we want to provide healthy, affordable food in downtown Keene, so we just ramped it up. We launched our curbside pickup program, so we had never had that at all. We didn't have online ordering. We didn't have any kind of curbside. We'd always wanted to. And so it had to go from 0 to 100. But just the fact that we did that successfully and we still have it. So we're hiring, full-time staff to take that to the next level. So I know that's a silver lining. Resilience is kind of your ability to get back up after you've been knocked down. And I think community resilience is getting up in a way that doesn't knock down other people. It's just nice being able to go to an organization that has a whole region in mind. So I always felt like the Chamber was a place I could go to learn about some best practices and hear about what other people are doing, and just have that open dialogue with the regular meetings that you had online. So it was definitely appreciated to have that place to go. I think we'll have a lot more silver linings identified as we have our grand reopening, hopefully this April, if COVID lets us, to really celebrate and look back and go, we survived and we thrived.
Good evening. I'm Tom Minkler. I'm the chairman of the Greater Keene and Peterborough Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. I'd like to thank you for attending tonight. We miss all of you, seeing you in person. We're thankful for you joining us this evening. As you know, this is the community event of the year most years. We have usually over 400 people in attendance, and although we're different this year, I hope you'll agree that this has been a great event so far. I'd like to thank Dr. Joanne Conroy for being with us as our keynote speaker, and to all of the healthcare workers that have provided such a valuable service to us over these last terrible months. Congratulations to our business of the year, the Community Kitchen. Phoebe and her staff do wonderful and amazing things and couldn't have picked a better choice. And also congratulations to our Citizen of the Year, Jane Shapiro, for her amazing many years of tireless efforts to make our community a better place to live. As we watched the video tonight, we couldn't help feeling a renewed sense of hope and appreciation for the communities where we live and work. We saw multiple examples of resiliency and determination. In 2020, we endured one of the darkest times the community has ever seen. However, as we always have been, we were a caring community full of resilient individuals and businesses that dig deep, pull us up, and make all of us better. Also, the theme of the Chamber's campaign to promote the region has the perfect banner this year: Why We Love It Here. We are very fortunate to call this our home. One final thank you, and that's to the Colonial Theater for hosting us tonight in their new venue, the showroom. We can't wait till you can all see the showroom in person. It is a gem. And now the moment you've been waiting for. I'd like to introduce our special entertainment this evening to help us laugh and to cheer Justin McKinney. With multiple appearances on The Tonight Show, 2 Comedy Central specials, and 2 Amazon Prime specials, including his latest, Parentally Challenged, Justin joins us tonight, and he's no stranger to Keene, as he's appeared at the Colonial Theater several times over the years. And most importantly, Justin knows what it is to live free or die. He currently resides in New Hampshire with his wife, his kids, and his dogs. Please join me in welcoming Justin McKinney.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. Wow, this is, what can I say? You know, 2020 was not the best year. We all know that. But I'm optimistic about 2021. I mean, if you would have told me a few years ago that my first gig of 2021 would be the Peterborough, Keene area chamber dinner with 6 people in the audience. And they're all wearing masks, so I don't even know if they like me or they're upset. I never would have believed it. All right, let's just say 2021's a little slow getting out of the gate for me. But it's gonna be good. I mean, look, I'm on TV. This is a TV credit. I'm gonna use this on my resume.
Because our mission is to provide transportation to those that don't have access to transportation. So we're not like a public system, but it's for people, and primarily older citizens as well as people with a disability. And these people, despite COVID, still needed to get to the doctor, they needed to get to the grocery store. So we knew we couldn't stop. Our drivers continued to drive. I mean, that we were watching those numbers all along, but our drivers were still providing rides for people. Naturally, our volunteer drivers, we knew we were going to have some pull out of driving until there was some clarity around this whole virus. Some of our riders, family members, maybe came and got them and brought them to their house or no longer needed our services, so those numbers dropped. And what's been wonderful is that the number of drivers, we went from 86, now we're down to about 58, is that it's meeting the need. We're able to respond. We don't have many trips that don't get picked up from a driver. We gave them a whole protocol to follow. We got, there was lots of information coming out from the CDC, and we're involved with several transportation organizations in the state, and so everybody was working, just keeping in touch with each other through the whole thing. A day doesn't go by that we don't hear something from someone, whether it's a provider like a doctor that'll call and tell us that they're very happy that so-and-so's continuing with their medical care so that they can stay home and live independently. Just to get your arms around this idea of this pandemic and what it meant, and that there's always hope. And it seems to me hope feeds resilience, and resilience feeds hope.
So we're at the end of the evening. I'd like to thank again Cadigan Films for helping put this together from a production standpoint. And there's a whole bunch of equipment in front of me here that I got no idea how to use. So I'm glad they brought their equipment, and I'm glad it all worked well. And we hope to work with them again in the future. I'd also like to thank everybody who tuned in tonight and everybody who logged in. It means a lot to us. These things take some time to put together, and we really tried to give you a little bit of the Gala experience with the Business of the Year, Citizen of the Year, and end with a little lighter note. And thank you so much, Justin, for being here. And it was the perfect kind of way to wrap up the evening. Normally, at this point, I would be encouraging you all to drive safely to get home. At this point, if you can get from the couch to your bedroom, you do that safely. And in the meantime, we'll see you next year. Thanks very much, everybody.